Good afternoon. We are continuing with our Bible studies. Today we're on day 240, and whilst we're looking at St. Paul's distinctive contribution to Christian understanding, today we are looking at his teaching about the body of Christ, the common life of Christians. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 12 to 31. Christ is like a single body possessing many parts. All of us, Jews or Gentiles, slaves or free, are baptized into one body by the same Spirit and drink the one Spirit we are given. Nobody's body is made up of only one part, but many. The foot can't say, "I'm not a hand, I don't belong." That wouldn't stop it actually being a body part. The same with the ear. It can't say, "I'm not an eye, I don't belong." If the whole body was an eye, it couldn't hear. If it was all ear, how could it smell? Be that as it may, God put all the different body parts in place as he wanted. The different parts all together make one body. The eye can't say to the hand, "I don't need you." The head can't, and the head can't, as to the feet, "I don't need you." Quite the reverse. We can't do without the weaker seeming body parts. The bits we don't think much of, we actually take more care of. The bits we think don't look nice are treated with more modesty than the more good-looking parts need to be. God put our bodies together to give more honour to the parts that need it. There's no division in the body, and all its parts need each other. If one part suffers, all the others suffer with it. If one part gets praised, all the others share its happiness. Now all of you are Christ's body. Each one of you is a part of it. In the church, God has put all parts in the correct place. First, there are the apostles, then second, the prophets, and third, the teachers. Then come the miracle workers and those with healing and helping powers. Then advisors and those who speak spiritual tongues. Not everyone's an apostle, a prophet, or a teacher. Not everyone's a miracle worker or a healer or a speaker in unknown tongues or an interpreter of them. What you ought to do is to set your hearts on the most important gifts: faith, hope, and love. Now, the passage I've just read is, of course, the lead-in to Paul's famous hymn about love in 1 Corinthians 13. And it is quoted a lot by church leaders in modern times, particularly when wanting to stir up the congregation to help the church more, perhaps by sharing in paying for what the church does or helping with the church's voluntary work or its lay-led ministries. I would guess that it wasn't quoted nearly as much in the ages that were dominated by the church hierarchy and respect for the church magisterium and teaching authority. Roman political writers had already made an analogy between the political establishment and a body, pointing out that many talents had to be gathered together to form the body politic. Paul's contribution to this metaphor is that he starts not from the many being gathered, but from the body as an existing organism. The body is a living being. It is Christ's presence on earth. When you look at it, you can see clearly that it is a body with many parts, each with a useful function and each with its own particular honour. It is surprising to see that Paul then slips into a hierarchical frame of mind, numbering the parts of the body that in his mind constitute the most honourable body parts. First, he says, there are the apostles, then second, the prophets, and third, the teachers. But these are not to be seen as the head of a hierarchy. since they, like everyone else, are under the leadership of Christ. As he says elsewhere in Colossians 1:18, Christ is the head of his body, the church. To emphasize how early this message was written in the life of the new Christian church, we might notice the absence of overseers or bishops, of elders or parish clergy, and of helpers or deacons. The ministry of the church was, at this time, still a work in progress. And the priority is in those numbered roles. First, apostles to preach the good news as widely as possible, then prophets, trusted, wise people who talk about the meaning of present events and interpret them in the light of eternity, and teachers, people who know the history of the faith and the story of Jesus, who can induct former Jews and former pagans into the mysteries of Christ. Eventually, the church developed its formal hierarchy, and then the apostle role was inherited largely by bishops, and the teaching role by priests and deacons. Only rarely did the prophetic role raise its head, and individuals like St. Francis of Assisi and Martin Luther grasped the nettle of reform to the church's benefit. Rarely a bishop or a priest might preach a prophetic sermon or speak to a political leader in a prophetic way. Sometimes, like Thomas Becket, losing their life or freedom as a result. Thankfully, Paul's description of the church as a body has come down to us. And in a time of religious decline, lay people have found many roles in the church that they can fulfill, much to the benefit of the whole body. Well, I'll be speaking some more about this tomorrow, and I'll see you then.